The cargo ship Times Meridian's Edge Times moved slowly through space. It was not a pretty ship. The hull was old and covered with dents and scratches. Inside, the ship carried goods from one planet to another. The crew was made up of different alien species who all thought they were better than humans. Marcus Chen worked in the lower levels of the ship. He fixed broken machines and cleaned the air filters. His hands were always dirty from grease and oil. He wore simple gray work clothes that had seen better days. Marcus was not tall or strong-looking. He had black hair and dark eyes that seemed to watch everything but say nothing. The other crew members made fun of him every day. They called him weak and useless. They said humans were soft and should not be allowed on real ships. Marcus never said anything back. He just kept working. Vex was the security chief. He was a Catharian, which meant he was tall and strong with blue skin and sharp teeth. Catharians were known as great warriors. Vex hated that a human worked on his ship. He thought humans were cowards who ran from fights. "Look at the little human," Vex would say loudly when Marcus walked by. "He cannot even look me in the eye. What a waste of space." The other crew members would laugh. There was Zara, a Zalani tech worker with silver skin and glowing blue markings on her arms. She was smart with computers but mean to Marcus. There was also Grok, a big Thraken trader with gray skin and 4 arms. He always complained that humans were bad for business. "I heard humans cry when they get scared," Grok said one day during lunch. "Is that true, little human?" Marcus sat alone at a corner table. He was eating simple food from a metal tray. He looked up at Grok but said nothing. Then, he went back to eating. "See? He cannot even speak." Vex laughed. "Pathetic." Every day was the same. Marcus would wake up early and start working. He knew every pipe, every wire, and every machine on the ship. When something broke, he fixed it quickly and quietly. The ship's captain, a fat Zalani named Hosk, liked Marcus because he worked hard and never caused trouble. But even Captain Hosk did not respect him. "At least the human works cheap," Hosk would tell the others. "And he does not complain about anything." Marcus heard all of this. He heard every insult and every cruel joke. But his face never changed. He just kept working. Some crew members started to wonder if he was too dumb to understand what they were saying. The ship was traveling through the Helix Nebula. This was a dangerous part of space where pirates liked to hide. The colorful gas clouds made it hard to see other ships until they were very close. Captain Hosk took this route because it was faster and he could make more money. "Do not worry about pirates," Vex told the crew. "I have fought many battles. My team can handle anything." Vex had 3 other Catharians on his security team. They all carried big weapons and acted tough. They practiced fighting in the cargo bay and made lots of noise. They wanted everyone to know how strong they were. Marcus worked alone in the engine room. The machines hummed around him as he checked the power levels. Everything was running smoothly. He had made sure of that. Marcus was very good at his job, even if no one gave him credit for it. One evening, the crew was eating dinner together in the main room. Marcus sat by himself as always. Vex was telling stories about his battles. "I once killed 5 enemies with just my bare hands," Vex said proudly. "That is what real warriors do." "What about you, human?" Zara asked Marcus with a mean smile. "Have you ever been in a fight?" Marcus looked up from his food. His dark eyes met hers for just a moment. Then he shook his head and went back to eating. "Of course not." Grok laughed. "Humans are too weak to fight. They probably faint at the sight of blood." The whole crew laughed except for Marcus. He finished his food and cleaned his tray. As he walked past their table, Vex stuck out his foot to trip him. Marcus stepped over it without looking down and kept walking. "Did you see that?" Vex said angrily. "The little coward ignored me." "Maybe he is too stupid to understand," Zara suggested. But Kess, an old Zalani engineer, watched Marcus leave. She had worked on many ships and met many different people. Something about the quiet human bothered her, not in a bad way, but in a way that made her think. She had seen that kind of calm before, but she could not remember where. Later that night, Marcus was alone in the maintenance tunnels. These were small spaces where the ship's pipes and wires ran. Only he was small enough to fit in some of them. He moved through the narrow spaces easily, checking for problems. As he worked, Marcus thought about his life on the ship. The insults did not hurt him. He had heard much worse things before. The crew did not know anything about him. And that was how he wanted it. He had a job to do, and he would do it well. That was enough for him. The next morning brought more of the same. Vex and his team made jokes about humans while they cleaned their weapons. Grok complained about everything while he counted money. Zara worked on her computers and ignored Marcus when he had to fix something near her station. Marcus did not mind being ignored. He had learned that it was better to be invisible. People who were not noticed could move freely. They could listen, without anyone knowing. They could see things that others missed. The time's meridian's edge times continued through the nebula. The pretty colors outside the windows hid many dangers, but the crew felt safe with their weapons and their tough attitudes. They had no idea that their quiet human colleague was watching everything. They had no idea that Marcus Chen was not just a simple maintenance worker, and they definitely had no idea that their lives were about to change forever. The attack came without warning. Marcus was deep in the engine room when the ship shook violently. Emergency lights started flashing red. The alarm system screamed through the hallways. All crew to battle stations. Captain Hosk's voice cracked over the speakers. We are under attack. Marcus felt the ship shake again. Something big had hit them. He knew the sound of weapons fire when he heard it. These were not small pirate ships. This was something much worse. Vex and his security team ran through the corridors carrying their weapons. They looked excited and ready to fight. Vex had been waiting for a chance to prove how tough he was. Finally, some action, Vex shouted to his men. Let us show these pirates what Catharian warriors can do. Marcus stayed in the engine room. The machines around him sparked and smoked. The ship's main power was failing. He worked quickly to keep the life support running. If the air stopped working, everyone would die in minutes. Through the metal walls, Marcus could hear the sounds of battle. Weapons fired. People shouted and screamed. Something exploded near the front of the ship. The lights went out for a moment, then came back on dimly. Captain Hosk's voice came over the speakers again. This time he sounded scared. Hull breach on deck 3. They are boarding the ship. Marcus heard running footsteps above him. Heavy boots stomped through the corridors. These were not the feet of his crewmates. The pirates were inside. The battle did not last long. Marcus counted the minutes on his watch. 7 minutes after the attack started, the shooting stopped. Then there was only shouting in languages he did not recognize. Vex's voice came over the radio, but it was weak and full of pain. Medical. Need medical. Then, silence. Marcus turned off the machines he had been working on. There was no point in fixing them now. He moved quietly through the maintenance tunnels toward the main part of the ship. He needed to see what was happening. Through a small vent, Marcus looked into the main corridor. Bodies lay on the floor. Most of them were from his crew. Vex was there, breathing but badly hurt. 2 of his security team were not moving at all. Pirates walked through the hallway. They were big and mean-looking. Most were Catharians, but Marcus saw other species too. They wore black armor and carried heavy weapons. These were not ordinary pirates. They moved like soldiers. Marcus stayed hidden and listened. The pirates spoke in the common trade language that everyone in space used. Captain wants all survivors in the cargo bay, one pirate said. Check every room. Kill anyone who fights back. What about the wounded ones? Another pirate asked. Bring them too. The slave markets pay good money for any species that can work. Slaves. Marcus felt something cold move through his chest. These pirates were not just here to steal cargo. They wanted to sell the crew as slaves to work in the mines on the outer planets. It was a fate worse than death. Marcus crawled through the tunnels toward the cargo bay. He had to see how many pirates there were and what weapons they carried. Information was important. It could mean the difference between life and death. The cargo bay was full of pirates and frightened crew members. Marcus counted at least 20 pirates, maybe more. They had set up some kind of command post near the main doors. Their leader was easy to spot. Captain Zorak Thess stood in the center of the bay like a king. He was huge, even for a Kytherian. His black armor was covered with scars from many battles. On his chest were the skulls of different alien species. Marcus had heard stories about Zorak Thes. He was the most feared pirate captain in 3 sectors of space. "Welcome aboard my new ship," Zorak said to the captured crew. His voice was deep and cold. "You are now property of the Crimson Void Syndicate. Those of you who are strong will work in the mines. Those who are weak will be sold for parts." Captain Hosk was on his knees in front of Zorak. The fat Zelani was crying and begging for his life. "Please, we have money. We can pay you." Zorak laughed. "Your money is already mine. Your ship is mine. Your lives are mine." He kicked Captain Hosk to the ground. "The only choice you have is how much pain you want to feel." Marcus watched as the pirates sorted through the crew like they were looking at animals at a market. They pointed at the strong ones and pushed the weak ones aside. Zara was with the strong group. Her computer skills would be valuable. Grok was there too. Because traders knew how to count money, Kess, the old Zelani engineer, was pushed with the weak group. She caught sight of Marcus hiding in the vent above. Her eyes went wide with surprise. She opened her mouth like she wanted to say something, then closed it quickly. Smart woman, Marcus thought. She knew better than to give him away. One of the pirates looked around the cargo bay. "This is everyone?" "We found one more human in the engine room," another pirate said. "Small one, looks like maintenance crew." Marcus felt his heart beat faster. They were looking for him. He had to move carefully now. "Bring him," Zorak ordered. "Humans are popular in the slave markets. They work hard and do not complain much." The pirates spread out to search for him. Marcus moved through the maintenance tunnels like a ghost. He knew every inch of this ship. The pirates would have trouble finding him if he was smart about it, but he could not hide forever. Eventually, they would find him, or they would start hurting the other crew members to make him come out. Marcus had to think of a plan. He made his way to a storage room that the pirates had not searched yet. Inside were cleaning supplies and spare parts. Marcus opened a metal box and pulled out some tools. They were not weapons, but they could be used as weapons if needed. Through the walls, Marcus could hear the pirates getting angry. They were having trouble finding him. Some of them wanted to give up and just leave without him. "Find the human," Zorak roared. "I want every person on this ship accounted for." One of the captured crew members, a young Thraken named Blix, started crying loudly. "Please, just let us go. We have not done anything wrong." A pirate hit him across the face. "Shut up, or I will cut out your tongue." Marcus closed his eyes and took a slow, deep breath. These pirates thought they had won. They thought they were safe because they had captured a simple cargo ship with a weak crew. They had no idea what kind of mistake they had just made. Marcus looked at his reflection in a piece of broken metal. For just a moment, his calm mask slipped. Something dark and dangerous looked back at him from his own eyes, something that had been sleeping for a long time. The pirates wanted to play a game. Marcus would be happy to play with them, but they would not like his rules. Marcus waited in the dark storage room until the ship grew quiet. The pirates had given up searching for him and gone back to guarding their prisoners. They thought he was hiding somewhere, too scared to come out. They were wrong. Marcus opened the storage room door slowly. The hallway was empty except for one pirate guard at the far end. The guard was not paying attention. He was looking at something on a small screen and laughing. Marcus moved like a shadow down the hallway. His feet made no sound on the metal floor. Years of walking through this ship had taught him which places creaked and which stayed silent. The guard never saw him coming. Marcus put his hand over the pirate's mouth and used a sharp tool to cut the main bloodline in his neck. The pirate dropped without making a sound. Marcus dragged the body into a side room and took the guard's weapon. It was a good start. Marcus knew the ship better than anyone. Every pipe, every wire, every secret space was like a map in his mind. The pirates were strong and had good weapons, but they did not know where they were. That gave Marcus a big advantage. He crawled through the air ducts above the main corridors. Through the metal grating, he could see pirates moving around below. They were relaxed now, thinking the hard work was done. Some were going through the crew's personal things. looking for anything valuable. Marcus stopped above another lone guard. This one was standing near the door to the crew quarters. Marcus opened a small panel in the ceiling and dropped down behind the pirate. Before the guard could turn around, Marcus wrapped a power cable around his neck and pulled tight. The pirate struggled for a moment, then went still. 2 down. Marcus hid the second body and moved on. He was like a ghost moving through his own ship. The pirates had no idea death was walking among them. The third pirate was in the kitchen, eating food that belonged to the crew. He was a big Thraken with 4 arms, all busy stuffing food in his mouth. Marcus came up behind him and used a kitchen knife to cut important blood vessels. The pirate collapsed face first into his stolen meal. 3 down. It took an hour before the other pirates noticed that some of their people were missing. Marcus listened from the air ducts as they called for the missing guards on their radios. "Jorak, report your position," a pirate officer said into his radio. Silence. "Voss, are you there?" More silence. "Krun, respond now." Nothing. Marcus smiled in the darkness. Fear was a powerful weapon, and the pirates were starting to feel it. The officer's voice came over all the radio channels. "All units, we have missing personnel. Work in pairs from now on." Something is wrong here, but working in pairs just made it more interesting for Marcus. He found 2 pirates checking the medical bay. They were being careful now, looking around corners and listening for sounds. Marcus turned off the lights in that section of the ship. The pirates cursed and pulled out small lights. But Marcus knew these corridors in complete darkness. He had worked here for months without needing to see. The first pirate died when Marcus came at him from behind with a metal tool. The second one heard his friend fall and started shooting wildly in the dark. Marcus waited until the pirate ran out of ammunition, then stepped out of the shadows and finished him. 5 down. Marcus was just getting started. He moved through the ship like death itself. The pirates grew more and more nervous as their friends kept disappearing. They found the bodies eventually, but that only made things worse. Each dead pirate showed that someone on the ship was very good at killing. "What kind of cargo ship is this?" one scared pirate asked his partner. "I do not know," the other one said. "But I wish we had never found it." Marcus took their weapons after he killed them. Now he had enough firepower to take on multiple pirates at once. But he liked the quiet approach better. Dead pirates could not warn the others. In the engine room, Marcus found 3 pirates trying to figure out how the ship's power worked. They wanted to take control of all the systems. Marcus watched them from a maintenance shaft for several minutes, learning their positions. He came out of the shaft behind them like a nightmare. The first pirate went down with a knife in his back. The second one turned around just in time to see Marcus's face before dying. The third one tried to run, but Marcus shot him with a stolen pirate weapon. By now, Captain Zorak was very angry. His voice boomed over the radio channels. "Find whoever is doing this. Search every room, check every shadow." But Marcus was always one step ahead. He used the ship's internal communication system to listen to their conversations. He knew where they were going before they got there. When they searched one area, he was already in another area, killing more of their friends. The pirates started to break down mentally. They jumped at every sound. They shot at shadows that turned out to be nothing. Some of them wanted to leave the ship and forget about the prisoners and cargo. "This ship is cursed," one pirate said. "We should go before whatever is hunting us gets us too." But Captain Zorak would not give up. He was too proud and too greedy to admit defeat. "We are Crimson Void. We do not run from ghosts." Marcus heard this conversation from his hiding spot in the ceiling. He thought about Captain Zorak's words and smiled coldly. Ghost was a good word for what he had become. But ghosts could not kill people. Marcus was very much alive and very much dangerous. He had been quiet and peaceful for so long that he had almost forgotten what it felt like to hunt. But it was like riding a bicycle. Once learned, never forgotten. The next pair of pirates he found were guarding the entrance to the cargo bay where the crew was being held. Marcus could not attack them directly because they might hurt the prisoners. He had to be more clever. Marcus went to the ship's main power control room and started shutting down different systems. First, the lights went out. Then the air circulation stopped working. Finally, He cut power to the doors throughout the ship. In the darkness and confusion, Marcus struck. The guards could not see him coming. They could not call for help because their radios stopped working when the power died. Marcus killed them both and took their keys to the cargo bay. But he did not free the prisoners yet. There were still too many pirates alive. If he freed the crew now, the pirates might kill them all, rather than lose their valuable slaves. Marcus had to finish his work first. He made his way toward Captain Zorak's command post. Along the way, he found more pirates stumbling around in the dark. They were scared and confused. Perfect targets. Marcus moved among them like the angel of death. One by one, they fell to his hands. Some died quietly. Others had time to scream before dying. The screams made the remaining pirates even more afraid. By the time Marcus reached the command area, only Captain Zorak and 5 of his best fighters were left alive. They had backup power in their command post, so they could see what was happening around them. Captain Zorak stood in the center of his remaining men, holding a big weapon and looking around wildly. "Show yourself, coward. Face me like a warrior." Marcus looked down at the pirate captain from a vent in the ceiling. Soon, he thought. Very soon, Captain Zorak would get exactly what he was asking for, and he would regret ever setting foot on the Times Meridian's edge asterisk. In the cargo bay, the crew sat in frightened silence. They could hear the sounds of fighting throughout the ship, but they did not understand what was happening. Pirates kept disappearing. Screams echoed through the dark hallways. The backup power flickered on and off. Kess, the old Zelani engineer, sat close to Zara and Grok. She kept thinking about the quiet human she had seen in the vent. Something about him had bothered her for weeks, but now she knew why. "I need to check something," she whispered to Zara. "Can you access the crew files on your portable computer?" Zara looked confused. "Why? What does that matter now?" "Just do it," Kess said urgently. "Look up Marcus Chen. Find his full name and service record." Zara's fingers moved quickly over her small computer. The screen glowed softly in the dark cargo bay. She found Marcus's file and opened it. "Marcus Chen," she read quietly. "Human, age 34, previous employment." Her voice stopped. Her face went very pale. "What is it?" Grok whispered. Zara's hands were shaking as she read from the screen. "Previous employment. Human Colonial Defense Force. Rank: Special Operations Commander. Combat designation: Marcus Chen Reaper." The name hit Kess like a lightning bolt. Chen Reaper. She remembered now why Marcus had seemed familiar. Every soldier in the galaxy knew that name, even if they had never seen the man who carried it. "The Reaper of Kepler Station," Kess whispered. Other crew members heard her and moved closer. Even Captain Hosk, bloody and beaten, looked up with wide eyes. "That is impossible," Grok said. "The Reaper is just a story, a legend." "No," Kess said firmly. "I was there during the border wars. I saw the reports." One human soldier held off an entire hegemony assault battalion at Kepler Station, 300 enemy troops, and he killed them all, by himself. Zara scrolled through more of Marcus's file. Combat missions. Classified. Kill count. Classified. Current status. Retired. Location unknown. "He has been here all along," Captain Hosk said in amazement. "The most dangerous human in known space. And we treated him like garbage." Blix, the young Thraken who had been crying earlier, looked around nervously. "If he is so dangerous, why did he not fight back when we insulted him?" "Because he did not want to hurt us," Kess said. "The Reaper only kills enemies. We were just annoying." Suddenly, they heard Captain Zorak's voice echoing through the ship's communication system. One of his pirates had managed to intercept the conversation about Marcus's identity. "Chen Reaper?" Zorak's voice was filled with disbelief and growing fear. "The human ghost who destroyed Battle Group 7? That is impossible." But even as he said it, Zorak knew it was true. Everything made sense now. The silent kills. The perfect knowledge of the ship. The way his trained warriors had been eliminated one by one, like children. He was not fighting a scared maintenance worker. He was fighting the most feared human killer in 3 sectors of space. Zorak's remaining pirates heard the name too, and their faces filled with terror. Every military person in the galaxy had heard stories about the Reaper. He was the human who could walk through walls and kill without sound. He was the reason most alien species had learned to respect human soldiers. "Captain," one of Zorak's men said with a shaking voice, "we should leave. Now. Forget the cargo. Forget the slaves. We need to run." "No," Zorak roared. But his voice sounded less sure than before. "I am Captain Zorak Thess. I do not run from one human." But his men were already backing toward the exits. They had not survived this long by being brave. They survived by being smart. And staying to fight the Reaper was not smart. "He is just one man," Zorak said, trying to convince himself as much as his crew. "We still outnumber him." "Tell that to the 20 dead pirates," another pirate said. "Captain, this human is not normal. The stories say he can kill with his bare hands. They say he can disappear like smoke and appear like death." In the cargo bay, the crew listened to this conversation with growing amazement. Vex, the Catharian security chief who had mocked Marcus for months, was awake now, despite his injuries. "I called him a coward," Vex said quietly. "I said humans were weak." He tried to laugh, but it came out as a painful cough. "The Reaper. I was insulting the Reaper." "Why did he never say anything?" Zara asked. "Why did he let us treat him that way?" Kes thought she understood. Because he was trying to be someone else. The Reaper was a soldier. Marcus Chen just wanted to fix machines and live in peace. "Well, the pirates made sure that peace is over," Grok said grimly. As if summoned by their words, the lights in the cargo bay suddenly came back on. The crew blinked in the sudden brightness. The 2 pirate guards who had been watching them were gone. In their place stood a figure they barely recognized. Marcus Chen looked the same as always. Same dark hair, same quiet eyes, same simple work clothes. But something fundamental had changed. The way he stood, the way he moved, even the way he breathed, was different. This was not the maintenance worker they had known. This was the Reaper. "Everyone stay calm," Marcus said quietly. His voice was the same as always, but now it carried a weight that made everyone listen. "I am going to get you all out of here." He moved to Captain Hosk and cut the ropes around his hands. "How many pirates are left alive?" 6, including their captain, Hosk said. "Marcus, we know who you are now." "We are sorry for." Marcus shook his head. "That does not matter now. What matters is keeping you alive." As he freed the other crew members, Marcus explained his plan. "I need you to stay here until I finish with the remaining pirates. Do not leave this room no matter what you hear. When it is over, I will come back for you." "What about Zorak?" Vex asked. "He is not like the others. He is a real warrior." Marcus looked at Vex with those dark, calm eyes. "I know. I have been saving him for last." The crew watched as Marcus checked the weapons he had taken from dead pirates. His hands moved with practiced efficiency, like he had done this 1,000 times before. "Marcus," Kes said carefully, "when this is over, will you stay with us?" Marcus was quiet for a long moment. "I do not know," he said finally. "I came here to leave the fighting behind, but sometimes the fighting finds you anyway." He walked toward the cargo bay exit, then stopped and looked back at the crew. For just a moment, his expression softened, and they saw a glimpse of the quiet man who had worked among them for months. "I am sorry you had to see this side of me," he said. "I hoped you never would." Then he was gone, disappearing into the ship's corridors like a ghost. The crew sat in stunned silence for several minutes. Finally, Grok spoke up. "I think we should start treating him better when this is over." Everyone agreed with that idea. In his command post, Captain Zorak waited with his last 5 pirates. They all had their weapons ready, but their hands were shaking. Outside in the corridors, they could hear footsteps. Slow, steady, deliberate footsteps coming closer. The Reaper was coming for them, and there was nowhere left to run. The footsteps stopped outside the command post. Captain Zorak and his 5 remaining pirates aimed their weapons at the door, but nothing happened. The silence stretched on until their nerves were ready to snap. "Where is he?" one pirate whispered. The answer came from above. Marcus dropped through a ceiling panel like a falling shadow. He landed behind 2 pirates and killed them both before they could turn around. The other 3 pirates spun and started shooting, but Marcus was already moving. He rolled behind a control console as energy blasts burned the air where he had been. The pirates kept firing wildly, hitting their own equipment and filling the room with smoke and sparks. When their weapons ran out of power, Marcus stood up slowly. In his hands were 2 pirate guns he had taken from the dead guards. His face was calm and focused, like he was doing simple maintenance work instead of fighting for his life. "Reload," Zorak ordered his men. But Marcus did not give them time. He shot the first pirate through the heart. The second one tried to hide behind a chair, but Marcus put 3 shots through the thin metal and ended his life. The third pirate ran for the door, but Marcus shot him in the back before he could reach it. Now only Captain Zorak was left alive. The huge Catharian pirate captain stood in the center of the destroyed command post, holding his massive weapon like a club. His black armor was covered with the smoke and dust of battle. The skull decorations on his chest seemed to grin in the flickering light. "So," Zorak said, trying to keep his voice steady. "The famous Reaper shows his face at last." Marcus said nothing. He walked slowly around the room, keeping his distance from the powerful alien. His guns were empty now, but he did not seem worried. "I have heard the stories about you," Zorak continued. "They say you are death in human form. They say you can kill anyone, anywhere, anytime." Marcus stopped moving and looked directly at Zorak. "They say a lot of things," he said quietly, "but you are still just flesh and blood," Zorak growled. "And I am Zorak Thes, terror of the void. I have killed hundreds of enemies in single combat." "I know who you are," Marcus said. "I have been hunting you for a long time." Zorak's eyes widened in surprise. "Hunting me? But you are retired. You work on a cargo ship." "I was retired," Marcus corrected him, "until you attacked my ship and threatened my crew." "Your crew?" Zorak laughed harshly. "They hate you. They treat you like dirt." Marcus thought about that for a moment. "Yes, they do," he agreed. "But they are still my responsibility." Zorak raised his weapon and charged forward with a roar of rage. He was incredibly fast for such a big creature, and his strength was legendary throughout the galaxy. But Marcus was faster. He sidestepped Zorak's charge and struck him in the back of the knee. The pirate captain stumbled, but did not fall. He swung his weapon in a wide arc, trying to crush Marcus against the wall. Marcus ducked under the swing and hit Zorak in the ribs with an elbow strike. The blow would have broken bones on a human, but Catharians were tougher. Zorak just grunted and tried to grab Marcus with his free hand. The fight moved around the command post like a deadly dance. Zorak was stronger and had longer reach, but Marcus was quicker and more skilled. Every time Zorak attacked, Marcus was somewhere else, striking back at weak points in the alien's armor. "Hold still and die," Zorak roared in frustration. "No," Marcus said simply, and hit him in the throat. Zorak dropped his weapon and grabbed his neck, gasping for air. Marcus picked up the fallen weapon, a massive gun that was almost too heavy for a human to lift. But Marcus handled it like it was made of paper. "This is for my crew," Marcus said, and shot Zorak in the chest. The powerful blast sent the pirate captain flying backward into a wall. His black armor cracked, and smoke rose from the impact point. But Zorak was still alive, still breathing. "Finish it," he gasped. "A warrior's death." Marcus looked down at the defeated pirate. "You are not a warrior," he said. "Warriors protect people. You just hurt them for money." He shot Zorak again, and the terror of the void moved no more. Marcus stood alone in the ruined command post, surrounded by dead pirates and broken equipment. The ship was quiet now, except for the hum of the life support systems. It was over. He made his way back to the cargo bay where the crew was waiting. They looked at him with a mixture of fear, respect, and amazement. He was covered with dust and blood, but he did not look tired or hurt. "It is finished," Marcus said simply. "You are safe now." Captain Hosk tried to stand up, but his injuries were too painful. "Marcus, how can we ever thank you?" "By getting this ship running again," Marcus said. "The pirates damaged a lot of systems. We need to call for help and get medical attention for the wounded." He walked over to Vex, who was lying against a wall with a broken arm and several deep cuts. The Catharian security chief looked up at him with shame in his eyes. "I am sorry," Vex said quietly. "I called you weak. I said humans were cowards. I was wrong." Marcus knelt down beside him and started checking his injuries. "You were not completely wrong," he said. "Most humans are peaceful. We do not like violence. But when someone threatens innocent people..." He shrugged. "Sometimes peaceful people have to do terrible things." "Will you forgive me?" Vex asked. Marcus thought about all the insults and cruel jokes he had endured for months. Then he nodded. "We all make mistakes. What matters is what we do next." Time. Over the next few hours, Marcus worked to repair the ship's communication system and get help on the way. The crew watched him in amazement as he moved through the ship, fixing things and cleaning up the evidence of battle. It was like watching two different people in the same body. One moment he was the deadly reaper who had killed 20 armed pirates without breaking a sweat. The next moment he was just Marcus Chen, maintenance worker, checking air filters and calibrating power systems. When the rescue ships arrived, Marcus gave them a simple report. Pirates had attacked. The crew had fought them off. Some pirates escaped in the confusion. He did not mention his role in the fighting, and he asked the crew to keep that information private. "Why?" Zara asked him later. "You are a hero. People should know what you did." Marcus was back in his gray work clothes, fixing a damaged power coupling in the engine room. "Because I am not that person anymore," he said. "I just want to fix machines and live quietly." "But what if pirates attack us again?" Grok asked. Marcus looked up from his work. For just a moment, something cold and dangerous flickered in his eyes. "Then I will deal with them," he said simply. "But I hope it never comes to that." The crew began to treat Marcus differently after that day. Not with fear, exactly, but with respect. They stopped making jokes about humans being weak. They stopped calling him names or trying to humiliate him. Instead, they included him in their conversations. They asked his opinion on important matters. They made sure he had the best food and the most comfortable sleeping quarters. Marcus accepted their new kindness with the same quiet grace he had accepted their old cruelty. He still worked alone most of the time. He still ate by himself and spoke only when necessary. But now, when he walked through the corridors, the crew nodded to him respectfully instead of laughing behind his back. One evening, several weeks after the pirate attack, Kess found Marcus in the observation deck, looking out at the stars. She sat down beside him without saying anything for a long time. "Do you regret it?" she asked finally. "Coming back to that life, even for a short time?" Marcus was quiet for a moment. "No," he said. "Those pirates would have sold you all as slaves. They would have hurt innocent people for the rest of their lives. Someone had to stop them. But you wanted to be done with killing." "I am done with killing," Marcus said firmly. "What I did was not killing. It was protecting my family." Kess looked at him in surprise. "Family?" Marcus gestured toward the crew quarters, where their shipmates were eating dinner and telling stories. "You, Vex, Zara, Grok, even Captain Hosk. You may not like me very much, but you are my family now, and I will always protect my family." Kess smiled and patted Marcus on the shoulder. "We like you just fine, Marcus Chen. We always did. We were just too stupid to show it properly." Marcus nodded and went back to watching the stars. Somewhere out in the darkness, other ships were carrying cargo from planet to planet. Other crews were working together to make honest livings in a dangerous galaxy. And if pirates or other evil people tried to hurt those crews, they might find themselves face to face with quiet humans who seemed harmless and weak. They might learn too late that humans were capable of terrible things when the people they cared about were threatened. Marcus hoped they would never have to learn that lesson. But if they did, he hoped other humans would have the courage to teach it to them. The galaxy was a big place, full of dangers and wonders. But as long as there were humans willing to protect the innocent, it would never belong to the monsters. Marcus Chen, maintenance worker, went back to his quiet life among the stars. But the Reaper was always there, sleeping just beneath the surface, ready to wake up if his family ever needed him again. The Times, Meridian's Edge Times, continued on its journey through space, carrying cargo and carrying hope. And in the engine room, a human who had once been the most feared killer in known space hummed softly to himself as he fixed the machines that kept his family alive.